This week I'm driving the 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee L.
For 2022, Jeep offer us two brand new model of Grand Cherokee, the regular one and the new Grand Cherokee extended version called the Grand Cherokee L. This is the 5th generation of the Grand Cherokee, and it's the first time Jeep's gonna offer us the Grand Cherokee with 7-passenger. Brand new generation, redesigned completely for 2022, built on a brand new unibody platform. This Grand Cherokee is actually 7 inches longer than the actual Grand Cherokee 2021 and 2 inches longer than the Dodge Durango. Under the hood, we can find a V6 PENTASTAR 3.6 liter, good for 293 horsepower and 260 foot-pounds of torque. This engine is matched to an 8-speed transmission. You can also opt for the optional engine, the V8 5.7 liter Hemi, good for 357 horsepower, 290 foot-pounds of torque, also matched to a 8-speed transmission. So today we're driving the V6 version. We'll see on the road if it's enough to carry all that big weight of that extended Grand Cherokee version.
I'm gonna test the acceleration. We've got the V6 under the hood. I'm sure the V8 is gonna perform way better, but we'll see if it gets the job done. All right, it's pretty decent. It's not quick. You can do the 0 to 100 kilometers with the V6 in about 7.5 seconds. And if you opt for the V8, it's good for 6.2 seconds. So big improvement if you opt for the V8 Hemi on that side. But still the V6 can carry itself. I could say it's typical for you know, this size of SUV. But of course, you know, if I had to choose between those two engines, I would choose the Hemi any day. On the road with the Grand Cherokee L this week, first thing you can notice inside of this Grand Cherokee is the ride really comfortable. We are on air suspension. You know, the ride is really smooth. It's really luxurious also. Big gap if I compare this SUV to the Infiniti QX60 I had last week. You know, same kind of size and price for these two SUVs. So a big gap for the Jeep products. It feels really luxurious. First thing you notice also in those new generation of Grand Cherokee, it's that Wagoneer, Grand Wagoneer vibe. Outside, inside the ride, a lot of feature and things you can find inside of the Grand Wagoneer kind of fell off on, you know, smaller model of the same brand, and this is really awesome. And this suspension is really tuned for comfort and off-roading. Of course, you have to do some sacrifice on the handling. It's kind of like wiggly, I could say, on the road because you're on air, so it's not super stable. But if for you, the ride, the comfort, and some off-road capacities is the priority over, you know, a sharp handling and a sport dynamics, you'll be really happy inside of this Grand Cherokee L. If we take a look at the exterior design, we can find the iconic grille of Jeep in the front. It's easy to tell it's a Grand Cherokee, even if it's a brand new generation, brand new design and all that, it still looks like a Grand Cherokee. And this one has been stretched out, so it's a L version, so that's an extended version. Even if it's longer, it keeps the line, the style of the Grand Cherokee. On this model, I've got the two-tone paint. Once again, we've got some Wagoneer luxury, you know, vibe with that paint. One little thing that kind of annoys me is the exhaust tips. We got those holes in the back, but you know, we just had some pipes dumping in that hole. I'm not sure why, you know, all the manufacturers are not able to do some real exhaust tip or something a little bit better than that. I think it looks funky. It looks not finished compared to the rest of the Grand Cherokee. I think that's something where they can improve a little bit, but overall the lights, the tail lights and the wheels, it's all a good mix, and we've got that Jeep Grand Cherokee vibe. One little thing I noticed also for the Canadian market, they remove all the US flag. So if you're in the US, you're gonna have a little USA flag next to the Grand Cherokee logos on the side. And it's not the case here in Canada. If we step inside of this Grand Cherokee, super luxurious, especially for a Jeep. It's mega improvement compared to the previous models. A lot of quality materials inside, a lot of stitching, a lot of leather. You know, everything seems to be at the right place. It looks good. We've got some wood trims and all that. Steering wheels looks just like the ones you'll find inside of a Grand Wagoneer. We've got two screens of 10 inches. So the main one in the middle console, and also the one in front of me, the cluster, 10 inches, all digital. You know, it looks 2022, I could say. That screen works really well. It's the new generation of the Uconnect system. A lot of things we can do with that screen, and it looks good. You know, it doesn't look funky. It looks part of the you know, the dash. It's not something that pops out. I like the angle. I like the buttons on top. We can switch a lot of things there. I like where we can switch all the climate and all that. I really like how everything looks here. Really high quality cameras all around, HD. We can also clean those cameras in the front and also in the back. So this is really you know, built for off-roading. It's cool. Also, we've got the fam cam, so you can check on the kids, the baby and all that. We can find more and more of this fam cam in pretty much all the Jeep, Dodge and Chrysler now. It's cool. They're hiding the fam cam in pretty much all their big 3-rows SUVs or van. We have also a place to recharge our phone wirelessly, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wireless. Bunch of place we can recharge our phone also. So we've got the Macintosh sound system, same brand as the one you can find inside of the Grand Wagoneer. So you know, it's cool, you know, having the same kind of vibe of the interior of the Grand Wagoneer. The Grand Wagoneer is $100,000, you know, SUV, and now we're maybe way less than this price, and we find the same components, the same material for some of the things inside of this Grand Cherokee, and I think that's a big plus for the Jeep products. If we step in the back, a lot of space in that second row. Actually, you've got more space than the Dodge Durango. You know, at first when I saw the Grand Cherokee L, I just thought it was like a Grand Cherokee on the same Durango platform, but it's a new platform. It's a new unibody, and we can see interior space. It's way better inside of this Grand Cherokee. You can also have like 2 setups of seats, so either a 6-passenger or the 7-passenger. This week I've got the 7-passenger, so second row is going to be a bench, so 3 people in that second row. You can also opt for 2 captain chairs with a metal console, and also individual climate control. These kind of luxury features, you can find those in BMWs, Mercedes-Benz, and we're inside of a Jeep. This is pretty cool. Also, you've got some really nice little shade, so if you have a baby on something like that, it's always a plus to have those little shade in those rear doors. If we step in the last row of this SUV, the access is pretty easy. You just have to pull the lever and you've got plenty of space to have access to that last row. That last row is not only for kids, an adult can easily fit there. The floor is flat. Obviously, you know, if you're an adult, maybe a short trip. If you're a kid, it's built like it's pretty comfortable. You've got some feature also. You've got some cup holders. You've got place to recharge your phone. You've got those air vents, especially for that last row. So it feels, you know, a real, you know, place to sit. Sometimes in those size of SUVs, when you have to sit in that last row, it's not the best. Sometimes it's way too tight. Sometimes kids can barely fit there. But in this SUV, it's not the case. Of course, you don't have the space like a large SUV, but for a mid-size SUV, it's pretty good. Cargo-wise, it's pretty decent if all the seats are up. You also have a small cargo management underneath the carpet in the back. Once you put down all the seats, you know, really good amount of cargo. You can put up the seats up and down with a push of a buttons. For the exception of the second row, if you want to put it up, you have to do it manually, but still it feels luxurious. Those kind of features you can find in large SUVs. Now you can find them more and more in this segment. Of course, in any luxury SUVs or, you know, off-road capable SUVs, you can find different modes of driving. Inside of this Grand Cherokee, you've got the auto mode, sport mode, snow, sand and mud, and rock. From my point of view, there are some modes missing, like the towing mode, or maybe a two-wheel drive mode will be nice. But this Jeep is still a pretty capable Jeep, like any Jeep. You know, it's a real 4x4. You can put it in four-wheel drive low. It's always a plus, you know, when you need those kind of feature. You can also raise the suspension, lower it down also. With this air suspension, you got different mode you can play with. There's off-road 1, off-road 2. This suspension raised pretty high, you know. Even this week I was making fun of my wife getting in and out of this SUV. When the suspension is raised to the maximum height, my wife had a hard time to get in and get out. It was funny, but it's really practical. Just a quick example, this week I had to use an underground parking lot. So I was making sure this Grand Cherokee was on the lowest level of suspension I'm able to, you know, roll with. You know, for an off-road worthy SUV, most of the time when your SUV is high or your pickup truck, for just a quick example, my previous Sierra IT4 had a lift of 2.5 inches, and I was not able to fit, you know, in those underground parking lot. Now it's on to have both worlds, you know. An SUV you can fit in those underground parking, but still on the weekend you can raise that suspension, go over obstacles, and have something, a real, you know, off-road SUV like this is just really awesome. On the towing side, with the V6 powertrain, you can tow up to 6,200 pounds. And if you opt for the V8 Hemi, it's good for 7,200 pounds. Those are really class-leading numbers. I think for the V6 is really good. My point of view, the V6 would struggle to, you know, probably carry all that weight. If you're looking for towing capacity, I would opt for the V8. You know, more power, more performance, probably better on the fuel economy while towing, and you know, 7,200 pounds. It's pretty awesome for this size of SUV. On the fuel economy side, this week I was averaging around 15 liters per 100 kilometers. This is not really good, you know. Lately, every time I drive a Jeep, they're pretty hard on fuel, and this is due to not having a two-wheel drive mode. I know Jeep is all about trail rated and be a real 4x4, but it will be nice to be just like a pickup truck and have a two-wheel drive mode to save a little bit on fuel. From my point of view, it makes no sense to have this SUV rolling on the 4x4 all the time. I know the auto mode is not a real 4x4, but everything, you know, stay connected. It's not a true two-wheel drive, I could say. It will be a little bit better on fuel, especially with the competition. Some of the competition you can disconnect literally the all-wheel drive system. I think it will be a big plus for these products if we have that two-wheel drive mode. For this size of SUV, this V6, it's borderline too small to carry all that weight. I think probably the V8 will be better on fuel. The numbers I've seen online was pretty much the same like I did this week. So maybe a little bit less, 14 liters per 100 kilometers. So if you have to make a choice, you know, if you do a lot of highways, the V8 probably will be better on fuel economy. If you do a lot of city, maybe the V6 will be a little bit better. But fuel economy wise, it's pretty much the same for those two engines. But on the other side, I know even if it's the V6 or V8, those are not good fuel economy numbers. But a good news, probably later this year, they're gonna have a Grand Cherokee L and the shorter version with the 4xe version, so hybrid plug-in. With the 4xe, you will be able to have a small range on the electric mode, so about 50 kilometers. On that side, you know, I think it's going to be really similar to the numbers we did with the Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon, you know, fuel economy wise, in a normal Rubicon with the V6, it was about the same as this Grand Cherokee. So maybe with that new generation of Grand Cherokee L 4xe, you're gonna be able to go down in the 10 liters per 100 kilometers average. So that's good. Price-wise, the Grand Cherokee L starts at $52,495, and the model I'm driving this week, it's good for $80,665. Pretty expensive, especially this model doesn't have the V8. Obviously, it's a press car. We have all the bells and whistle. And the model I'm driving, it's an Overland model, so it's like mid, higher up in the trim levels. If you opt for the fully load edition, it's going to be a Summit Reserve, and it starts around $78,000 Canadian with no option on it. So a pretty large bracket of price, 52 to almost 90,000. So plenty of choice. You can have like a base one, it's going to be more daily off-road use, or really a luxurious one. The optional V8 engine is going to run you for $3,745. I think it's worth it. You know, better fuel economy, better performance, better towing, better sound. Everything is better. I think it's worth it to opt for that option. You know, overall, if we take a look at the Grand Cherokee, with that big bracket, kind of touch multiple brands of SUVs. Just an example, the Grand Cherokee L is going to compete against the Ford Explorer. But if you go higher in the trim level of this Grand Cherokee L, it's going to easily touch the Lincoln products, the Aviator and all that. So, you know, the approach of Jeep, it's kind of like doing a lot of things under the same brand. So instead of having multiple brands, just like Ford and Lincoln, they kind of do everything under one brand. So you want something a little bit more rugged, you've got the, you know, usual Jeep products, but when you go in higher trim level, like the Summit Reserve, you've got that almost Wagoneer, Grand Wagoneer treatment, and that's pretty cool, you know, from my point of view. Jeep is really playing with the Infinitis, the Lexus, even touching the you know, BMWs and all that. If you want something you know, more off-road worthy, it's a really cool product, and we can easily say it's like the cheap version of a Range Rover, and I really like this product. And you know, driving a full week with the Grand Cherokee this week was a real pleasure. Really comfortable, fun to drive, nice ride, really practical. Overall, this Grand Cherokee L, it's easily in my top 3 of the best mid-size SUVs on the market in 2022 so far. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about this Grand Cherokee L? Do you think it's worth it to put all the option, or it's better to opt for the cheaper, you know, base model? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and we're gonna see each other on the next review.